How much is this running us to get a divorce?
We're in LA. It's going to cost you. So the average retainer just to get started is dollars.
Oh.
Welcome to Broadlines,
A weekly video podcast by The Female Quotient.
where real headlines meet real conversations.
I'm Ray Williams, an entertainment, lifestyle, and culture journalist.
And I'm Natalie Lizarraga, a journalist and news anchor. And today we are talking about how divorce is still brutal on women.
We have an expert, someone who has a front row seat to all of this with us, Los Angeles family law attorney Demetria Graves. She's a certified family law specialist and host of the Legally Uncensored podcast, where she breaks down celebrity divorces and turns them into real advice for real people.
Demetria, welcome to Broadlines.
Thank you so much for having me.
What is your favorite celebrity divorce, or like the divorce that you've seen where you feel like the woman especially got exactly what she was worth or what she deserved, or like just didn't get screwed?
Melinda Gates and Mackenzie Scott. I like those divorces because they got in, got out with a lot of money. And they do good with their money. But they also understood divorce is not what you see on TV, right? You don't want to spend all your time, your money, your emotions fighting. They did mediation, they got in, worked it out, and went on about their business. Dr. Dre's wife, she also walked away with about $100 million as well. And they had a prenup. So, allegedly.
That's a good game plan, get in, get out with a lot of money.
Sometimes with a lot of money, right? As much money as possible.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times women lead with emotion. A lot of men understand that this is business, right? So they already have a game plan. They know what they want.
Yeah.
And sometimes I heard a client said last week, this is about the process for me. I don't care about the income. And I'm like, no. You do care about the income. It's not about the process for this, right? Life might be about the process. Different things are about the process, but not divorce.
One of the things that we really want to dig into here today is, because we saw this stat, is the why that women are initiating divorce. And the stat is that 70% of women are more likely than men to initiate divorce these days. In your opinion, what's really driving that decision for a lot of women?
It's different now, right? For a lot of years, women needed their husband's permission to buy a house, to have a bank account, to live, basically. That is no longer the case. Women, especially minority women, are out earning men. They have choices. They know women are secure in what they want and how they want it. And they no longer have to stay in marriages they don't want to be in.
Marriage is difficult. Like, some days it can be difficult. And even if it's not a marriage, but you've seen your friends in relationships and you're like, girl, do you know who you were before this happened? And like, I think we often forget how powerful and successful we are in a lot of those situations.
But do you think that that is also maybe a reason that, or there are other reasons that women are opting out of just marriage as an institution? Because I know we've seen lots of things with, marriage rates being just lower to begin with.
Right. For the same reasons, right? I can take care of myself. I have my own money. I have my own house. If it doesn't make sense, I'm not doing it. And I'm talking about me personally as well, right? So if it doesn't make sense, why do I need to get into this institution, right? So women are making smarter decisions, are deciding just to have a partner and not necessarily get married. I think it's easier to walk away in that regard as well.
I think there's a lot of like labels now when it comes to women, like, oh, women think it's so too easy to leave. If it's like any little hiccup, they're like, I'm out, because they have unrealistic expectations of what marriage is supposed to be like. What do you say to that notion?
No, I think they know exactly what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
But they don't have to put up with a lot of things they had to put up with before. So if it doesn't make sense for them in terms of emotions or whatever it is, they don't like the way you chew in the morning, they can walk. They don't have to stay in something that they no longer want to be in. And I think we're in a society now where we understand life is short. So why do I need to spend 20 years or more in something that I don't want to be in?
I'm not married right now. I have a partner and we intend to get married. But would you look at someone like me after everything you've seen and be like, marriage is kind of still a good deal for women?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's
as long,
nice to hear.
as long as you define it the way that works for the both of you and you both have an understanding of what your marriage is going to look like, I think it still can definitely be a beautiful thing, but it has to make sense. I always say I'm going to do it at least once.
I think a second marriage takes a lot more bravery than the first one. You walk in and you're like, oh, this is great. And then when you know the ropes, I feel like for a lot of people who get married a second time, it took a lot of decision making where they were like, maybe I don't need to, or after a divorce didn't want to. And so I think it takes kind of a little bit more sense to walk into a second marriage knowing what you know before.
I think the third time is the charm. 'Cause
Really?
Yeah. I think a lot of times the second marriage is the rebound relationship, right? I think a lot of people don't heal or don't address what went wrong the first time.
I'm a second wife? I'm nervous.
Don't be nervous. I know a lot of my friends, and I will tell them, do not date a man that is going through a divorce. Because if he hasn't done the work, how can he show up for you? If he has not processed the relationship and his emotions and how he showed up, how she didn't show up, or whatever it is, if he hasn't processed that and he's going through a divorce and that process, how can he show up for you in the way you want him to show up for you?
There's a stat that says 74% of women find it difficult to show up as they really are at work while going through a divorce, which is understandable. You need extra time to go through mediations or to go to court to meet with your lawyer. What advice do you have for clients out there that are maybe trying to keep their job, right? Trying to hold down their job, their reputation. Maybe they have kids, their family, all while going through a divorce. How can they stay grounded?
When people call me, I say, get the practicalities of your life together, right? So where are you going to live? Are you staying in the house? Is he living? Are you guys staying together? Where are the kids going to school? Do they need to change? What's happening there? What does your money look like, right? If the family is dividing, who's going to pay what bills? What's happening there? And the biggest thing is, who is your support system? Is that trusted friends? Is that a therapist? I wish it was mandatory that people had to go through therapy first before they even file for divorce. Because if you're walking into my office where I just handle the business with all of your emotional baggage, it's going to take a lot longer for us to get through that process.
Yeah.
Rather than having all these things set, then you're like, okay, now I can handle the business of what we need to do.
What is that first phone call usually like? Like, what do they say? What do you say? Like, how does that even start?
I let anyone just tell the story, because sometimes people just need to get it out and need someone else to just hear what they went through. So that takes time. And then after that, I say what I just said. Like, we have to get your practical house in order. So what does this look like before we even get started? Are you safe? Are you stable? Do you have money? Are your kids okay? And then, okay, we'll talk about the business of what the process looks like and what my job is in the process.
Do you find a lot of people and women especially coming in kind of like, leading with, I don't want this to be a long, drawn out process. So just I'll take whatever I can get and let's just get this through. And if that is the case, how do you coach them through like, no, we want the actual best outcome for you?
Luckily, in California, there are a lot of steps before you can even get to the finish line, right? So after you file, you have to kind of disclose all your income and your debt. And a lot of times that is eye-opening. A lot of women don't even know what exists in terms of accounts, retirement, stocks and bonds, RSUs, whatever there is. It's important for me that you are very informed of what you're giving up. So if that means we have to go through each account, oh, did you know that this Chase account has $100,000 in it? Oh, did you know that this account exists, or whatever it is? And by that time, a lot of people don't want to just throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Speaking of finances, what's the financial reality for a woman who got married, paused her career to do the family stuff? How is that in court paid for financially?
I can speak to the state of California, right?
Yeah.
There's two things. So for temporary support, there's kind of a calculator that the court will loosely depend on, because we're not supposed to. Permanent support is based on our family code, and there's these factors, and being unemployed and supporting your spouse and their career is one of the factors. However, you're still limited, right? So if he's earning $10,000, the most you'll potentially get in spousal support is probably $2,800. I encourage women, these are things you have to talk about before you get married, hence a prenup, which a lot of women don't like to talk about, especially minority women.
Do you feel like the court is fair?
As the breadwinner, you're going to pay. If you don't know what that looks like, a lot of times it feels unfair. Like, women a lot of times hate paying spousal support. If they come to me and I'm like, sorry, you're going to pay him a good 1,000, 1,500,
Yeah.
they will cry. But it doesn't matter. California doesn't say, oh, you're the woman. You're right. He shouldn't ask. And some don't ask for it. Some don't. But when they do, women have to be prepared. If you're the higher earner, you will be on the hook.
Like, a lot of women think this spousal support will be their safety net, right? And that I'm assuming, and you can kind of elaborate on this, that like, is that a myth and they're blindsided by that when they're like you said, only $2,800?
Sometimes there's just not enough to go around,
Yeah.
right? Because I know a lot of women might not want him to live well, but he has to live as well, right? So the court does take that into consideration. Then, of course, we have the children that we have to take care of. And then you. And unfortunately, the sum might not be what you want, but we are limited to what the guidelines are in California. So I do talk a lot about that in my consultations, and I say maybe now might not be a great time to leave, right? Because it's sometimes it is a strategy call on a lot of women's part. Like, is now the right time? Can you live on $2,800 a month? That's what it comes down to.
What would you say are some of the things that would make you say to a woman, this is not the right time?
Yeah, this is one of them, right? If you left today, can you live on $2,800 a month? Where can you go? Is it with a family or friend, or is that a possibility for you? Or are you finishing school? Are you finishing something that will help you be more self-supporting, if you may? Or is it safe? It's not always the right time. And sometimes I'm telling women, let's take a beat. Let's talk more strategy of when is the right time to file.
How much does it complicate a divorce when children are involved in situations?
That becomes messy because sometimes one or both parents are using the kids as pawns, right? So if I'm a man and I want more child support, then I'm going to try to get more custody, right? In California, we start at 50-50 custody. California has did a big push of trying to make sure both parents have 50-50 custody. The more advanced parties go to mediation and figure these things out, right? Because it's most important to keep your kids as stable as possible. If they can go to their same school, if they can do their same activities, so they don't feel the impact of the divorce if they don't have to.
What do you think is the biggest like financial mistake that women can make in a divorce?
Leading with your emotions, right? That can be the cost. That can be the difference of a cost of a $15,000 divorce and a $70,000 divorce, right? If you're calling your attorney every day, if you're sending correspondence every day, if you want to go to court every day, all of those things add up, right? So you have to take the emotion out of it and realize if you're the higher earner, as we talked about, you're going to pay. And you might also have to pay his attorney fees.
How much is this running us to get a divorce?
We're in LA. It's gonna cost you. So the average retainer just to get started is $10,000.
Oh.
The average hourly rate is probably $500.
Wow, so you gotta really want it. I'm sure finances, like you mentioned, is a big reason to not get a divorce.
Right.
And that's going to cost women a lot of their mental health as well. It's kind of hard when it is that expensive.
Is there a cheap way to get divorced?
Like, is there an app?
You can do it yourself. Sometimes your strategy is going to just be different.
Yeah.
A lot of times people have to borrow money from their parents. They have to borrow from their retirement accounts. So it's a process. And that's why I say, don't come to me full of emotion. Because you're going to be mad when you get your first bill, right? You're just going to be mad because you're in the process.
Yes, right.
So there are things that should happen before this process begins.
What do you think the most misunderstood part of the divorce process is for women, and the thing that you wish women knew before they even picked up the phone to call you?
A lot of women believe that the court wants to hear your story. It doesn't.
I would think that if you're getting a divorce and you come in, you get a chance. Like, am I wrong?
You are wrong. We are in a no-fault state. So why you're getting a divorce and why the man did what he did, court's
So
gonna
if you
say.
were out there in the streets, I can't even.
No, ma'am.
Okay, that changes a lot for me.
It changes a lot for a lot of people. People want to be heard.
Well, I think a lot of people think that this is their last stab at hurting someone who probably hurt them.
Right.
So they want to go out with gusto.
This is business. When you come to me, I am hired to handle the business of what you're going through, right? I'm going to be as compassionate as I can possibly be, but that's not why you're paying your lawyer. You're paying your lawyer to handle the business of you dissolving your relationship. So a lot of times people want to be friends with my staff and me and call, but
Yeah.
that's not why you're hiring a professional.
Mm.
And that the court is going to follow the law. You might not want to pay spousal support, but if you're making more money, you're going to pay spousal support, right? You might want $5,000 a month, but if the money is not there, you're not going to get $5,000 a month. So be very clear on what the law is as it relates to your situation, and let's take some of that emotion out of the process.
So your podcast, Legally Uncensored, you take celebrity divorces and high profile cases and kind of turn them into advice for, real people to follow. What high profile or celebrity case recently have you seen that you think is a good lesson for, everybody when it comes to
Like
divorce?
the everyday woman.
Yeah, there's one that I always come back to, and that's Mary J. Blige.
She got a divorce?
Years ago, she had to pay him a lot in support. And I just don't understand why women, especially high, profile women, don't want to consider prenups. And like same with Sherry Shepherd. And those things break my heart because there are things you can do prior to getting married that can kind of solve some of these issues.
Not to say that it's only women of color that
right.
screw in divorce,
Right.
definitely not. But I think more often, and you can tell me from your experience too, more often you see that kind of disadvantage just because I think of like a lot of the social reasons and a lot of the stigmas that come with that.
But I think a lot of minority women might marry someone that's not equally yoked financially.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes it might be hard to have that conversation.
Yeah.
But it's very necessary. What I'd like to see couples do, and we see these with very, very, very high earning individuals, they get into mediation.
Tell us a little bit more about what mediation is.
It's a process where the parties decide we're going to work this out ourselves, right? We're going to put everything on the table, and then we're going to come up with creative ways to work this out.
Right.
And sometimes that can be with a retired judge, it can be with the lawyer, whoever the parties select. And it can happen over days or months, depending on how much is in the estate. And the parties decide to do it themselves. They don't do litigation. They don't go back and forth. They say, okay, again, this is business.
Yeah.
We're going to treat this like business. We have too much to lose. We're going to come behind closed doors and work this out.
When it comes to like a woman listening right now who's like, I know I'm absolutely done.
Yes.
Right. And that can be obviously a very scary place to land where you're like, wow, it's real. I know it confirmed everything I need to know about this marriage and I'm not going to continue it. What is the first step concrete step you want her to take this week?
Call a trusted advisor. Don't call all 20 of your friends. Don't do that. Okay. Because everyone is going to have a different opinion. But let's call one person and get it out. Sometimes women just need someone to hear the story.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, decide, do I need a therapist? Do I need to talk through this? Do I need to call an attorney just to have a strategy session or a consult or whatever you want to do? And take your time. It doesn't have to be finished next week, right? Once you have the strategy, then you can start planning for your next steps and all the practical considerations that are very, very important while you go through this process. It is not a sprint. Divorce is a marathon. So you do have to take your time. Get all the pieces first before you make the decision to do the next step.
What does an actual fair divorce, especially for women, look like?
An informed divorce is a fair divorce, right? If you know what's on the table, you know what was at stake, your attorney, or you knew what the law is, and then you made a decision based on that, I think that is fair. I don't think it's fair if one party gets everything and the kids and everything else and you're stuck with nothing, then obviously, no, that's not fair. But if you're informed and then you make a decision about what you want to do, to me, that is fair.
On average, how long is a divorce taking?
I would say between 6 months to 16 months.
What is like, I see some people, it's like, oh, it's been 3 years. And like, what could be some of those delays?
They want their stories to be heard. They
Mhm.
want to fight. They don't want to be reasonable. They don't want to listen to what is most likely going to happen. And some people just want what they want. You can tell who's being reasonable and who wants to get in and get out. Those are the people that are ending pretty early. But if
Right.
you're 3 years in someone is not being reasonable.
Yeah. What are some of the other things that kind of up the stakes and up the antes? Because like, I'm even thinking about like even maybe pets.
Pets are a big one now. There's a lot of pet litigation now.
People want that dog. They really do.
A lot of people are very tied to their homes because a lot of people,
Oh, I bet.
right, own homes, but then add their spouses later, which they don't need to, but they do. So that can tie it up. A lot of people are tied to their retirement because a lot of people had retirement prior to their relationships and don't realize that your spouse is entitled to half while you're married.
Oh.
I'm just shocked that people aren't having these conversations
Yeah.
before they even get married.
Yeah.
To me, more important than premarital counseling is just having conversations about what we're talking about,
Yeah.
right? And even if you don't decide to get a prenup helps you outline all of these issues, right? What are we going to do about the house? Are you going to keep your retirement?
Right.
Is that important to you?
Yeah.
How much am I going to give you in spousal support? Do you even want spousal support? So those conversations need to be had if you get a prenup or not.
I think that's what people think is like, oh, we're putting a jinx on this if we talk about it going awry. But that's just protecting yourself, and it's a good financial decision.
Right.
And I think both people would say that money is important.
Right.
It's just that there's so many nuances that we take from, you know, media and from, you know, kind of these high profile cases that we see that both have practical implications and that, you know, kind of lead us to think that this is a different process than it is. You know, if you are considering a divorce, you do need to remember, and we've said this a couple of times, that this is a business thing.
You probably get so caught up in the emotions of it, especially if you were wronged in any sort of way. So maybe take a beat. You said you like go through all the practical stuff first. But if someone knows maybe they're out there that they want to get a divorce, do all that stuff before calling you. Because one, that phone call, if you're going to ramble on, is going to cost you a lot of money that you could have done beforehand and got your ducks in a line. Then called and said, hey, look, I'm ready and this is what I have. And obviously you're coming to a tough decision, so you can expect to have emotion. If you're really thinking it through, the quicker the better, it seems. It is either side good to be prepared for in the back of your mind, even if you never have to go through it.
And you'd be surprised how much information you actually do not know.
Demetria, thank you so much for joining us.
Appreciate you. Thank you. Thanks for tuning into this week's episode of Broadlines,
A production of the Female Quotient, filmed in Los Angeles.
If you liked this episode, and I know you did, make sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
If you have a question, maybe a work question, or you have an idea for an episode,
DM us at Female Quotient or leave a comment to get the conversation started.
hit that follow button while you're there.
See you next week.